Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light?
Whether he's belting out the national anthem at an NFL playoff game in the frigid cold at Soldier Field,
And so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming.
or at a Chicago Blackhawks game on an ice rink set up in the middle of Wrigley Field, Jim Cornelison's booming voice put him on the map as the anthem singer from the Windy City.
For the land of the free and the home of
But he's also struck a chord with race fans in Indiana and around the globe.
back home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see.
Meet Jim Cornelison, the man behind the voice of the song that sends shivers down the spine every race morning at the Indianapolis 500. He's my guest this week on the Business and Beyond podcast, presented by PNC.
When I dream about the moonlight of the Wabash, how I long for my Indiana.
And I'm pleased to be joined on the podcast this week by Jim Cornelison. Jim, the anthem singer, perhaps better known as the Anthem Singer to folks all over the country, around the world. Jim, thanks for taking the time to join me.
Wow, it's my pleasure. Thanks for thinking of me for this.
Where are you? Because people see you at the 500 singing Back Home Again in Indiana before Bears games, Blackhawks games. You travel a fair amount.
Yeah, I do. I sing with Mika Auto Auctions, which is, people aren't familiar, the biggest collector car auction house in the country. And so there's about 14 auctions around the country. And this one is in Vegas. So, and this is actually motorcycles. So I'm in Vegas for a motorcycle auction.
Gotcha. Well, most recently, you really garnered some incredible attention for your national anthem before the Bears playoff game. Unfortunately, the Bears did not come through. Heck of a game, almost came back there, but playoff game against the Rams. That was I was watching, and that was a special moment. You singing the national anthem before that game. The crowd was into it. The players were into it.
Oh, yeah.
What was that like for you? And especially dealing with the elements, because it was very cold. You're outside, packed house. What was that vibe like for you?
Well, that question goes a couple ways. So I'll just talk about the kind of the live experience of performing it, and then like what it felt like later on, to see the videos and the reactions and all that kind of stuff. Being out there, there's so much energy. There's so much sensory input that it can be overwhelming. Shoot, just walking on the field, I felt the temperature drop like 10 degrees. Your Soldier Field, it's like you're at the bottom of a freezer. And walking out there was so dang cold. And then fans are yelling because they know me from singing at previous Bears games, but particularly the Blackhawks, which I've done all their home games for 18 years, right? So I'm kind of high-fiving or waving. I try not to talk a lot. Get out there. It's cold as heck. There's explosions and drumline and music and introductions and players throwing the ball around. I had my daughter with me, which was wonderful, but she was like, "Dad, are those the players?" She'd never been to a Bears game with me before. And all of that is to say, I have to create like this mental and emotional bubble when I go out there, that I don't let myself get pulled into all that pre-game excitement, because honestly, it's there. It's programmed for one reason, which is to get you excited.
Yeah.
And that's just not a headspace I can be in before I'm gonna sing. I've never forgotten words. I don't really worry about forgetting words. What I worry about is just staying within myself, knowing that I'm going to have to sing with this tremendous amount of reverb that happens in the stadium,
Yeah.
and not getting distracted by the fact that it was like 0 degrees or something ridiculous down there, wind blowing and the snow and all that input that's just happening constantly. So going out and singing, I just try to, it's like, you make your bubble, if you're going to shoot free throws to win game 7 of the NBA finals and you're down by 1 point, you can be a 95% free throw shooter, but those free throws aren't made until they're made. And all the fans can be doing this behind the backboard. You can't see that. You focus on your mechanics. You don't absorb the anxiety of the moment, and you do your job. You just do your job the best that you can.
Adrenaline is a powerful thing. And when you're singing, especially to use that Bears-Rams game as an example, boy, it was an emotional. You could see it in the fans and the players. Do you feel, I know you want to stay in your bubble, but as you're reaching that crescendo, do you feel that adrenaline? Is there an adrenaline rush?
Oh yeah, and in fact, the adrenaline rush for me is a little bit of a red flag because it'll happen at various times as I'm leading up to the anthem. When they ask me, for example, to take my place, to walk out there into the end zone, there's always kind of a spike, and I have to manage that. And there's these kind of like little spikes that happen. Or it's like, no, you stay in your place. I'll start running words in my head, or just looking around. Okay, I'm going to point to the flag here. The color guard's over there. I just try to go into this really analytical, focused place.
I want to get to the Indianapolis 500, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, certainly in a second. But take us back to when this, because you are literally an opera singer, a trained opera singer. Got your master's degree at IU, right? Indiana University in Bloomington, so big Indiana connection. But how did it start, the singing in arenas? It started, I think, with the Blackhawks, as you said, 18 years ago. How did it come about?
Right. It actually, the real origin of it was that the Lyric Opera invited me to Chicago in 1995 to be part of their apprentice program. And I was going to be there for 2 years. I had another buddy who was there singing in the chorus. He'd gone to IU, and he was like, Jim, I'm doing these anthems for the Blackhawks. They're looking for one more guy in the alternation. Would you be interested? Yeah. I mean, if I'm available and I can fill in a game over the next 2 years, I mean, what's the downside of going to a professional sporting event, taking my kid, free tickets, free parking, food in the press lounge, and then just sing and go to the game? I mean, they pay like $50, so it wasn't about anything other than just having a really good time. So that's kind of how it started in 1996, and I do maybe half a dozen a year. So there were 4 or 5 other guys. It was not on TV. The team, they had a couple of years where they performed pretty well, but the team wasn't what it is, or certainly what it was during our Stanley Cup runs.
Yeah.
But they knew who I was. So in 2008, the previous owner had died. Rocky Wirtz took over. He brought in John McDonough and Jay Blunt, came over from the Chicago Cubs. And the story, as far as I know, because I'm not there in the back room or front office workings, right? As I understand it, Jay Blunt, who was number 2 business guy there, went to John McDonough and said, hey, you need to hear this guy. And I think McDonough wanted a single anthem singer because he understood the marketing draw, or the way you can connect with fans with that, right? It's like a mascot or another personality like Harry Carey was to the Cubs, but it also has a certain meaning or purpose that's different than that. And that difference, that meaning, that purpose is powerful. A powerful way.
How would you describe how you sing the anthem? Because to me, it's traditional but unique. I mean, it's your style. I think. How would you describe it? What do you try to accomplish with it?
What I try to accomplish with it is to really contribute something energy-wise to the environment that, okay, this was born in the environment of a Chicago Blackhawks game where people cheer from the beginning to the end. And as I was starting to sing with them, I just thought, how can I get back to that energy? And over time, there were little things that developed. One of those is the hand gesture where I point to the flag and, the crowd roars. But also, when I don't sing anything the same way I sing the anthem. I sing the anthem like loud and hard and strong. It's very masculine and it's very extroverted. There's no closing my eyes or holding my hands to my breast, as my lower lip is shaking from my powerful patriotism I'm feeling at the moment. It's a very extroverted anthem that's there to give something to a particular kind of environment and energy. And so that's something I was aware of very early on. And I'm also aware that I've had voice teachers who would probably yell at me for some of the things I do when I sing the anthem that way, because you mentioned the energy. I mean, our adrenaline. Yeah, sometimes I'll oversing. Sometimes, too much air or whatever. I mean,
what happens when you do that?
It kind of like spread the vowels and make them harder to sing than what they need to be. Sometimes I can't hear myself very well. In fact, quite often when the crowd's really going. And so then I'll go back and listen to it later. And it's like, I took a breath there when I didn't want to, because it was just, I used up too much air, and I had to breathe in the middle of a phrase, or that note is a little pitchy. And it's like, is that because I couldn't hear it? Is that because I was over singing it? Most of the time it's because I'm over singing it. It's just getting too much air.
When did you realize that Blackhawks fans were really beginning to treat the anthem, your singing of the anthem, as kind of as a tradition, as a game-changing event, if you will, that it started to become special?
Okay, so the cheering started in 1985 during a playoff series against the Edmonton Oilers. So that predates me. And then in 1991, there's one you can find on YouTube. It's All-Star Game in 1991 where Wayne Mesmer was doing the anthem, and he sang all the anthems for the Blackhawks. I'm not sure up until when, but there was a good 14 years in between him and me in terms of being the one guy who was singing the anthem. So it goes back to that. And I think what I've been able to bring to it is a more ramped up kind of energy, the hand gesture. Look, you've heard, like, it doesn't matter how you sing it, just sing it with enthusiasm.
Right.
Or, maybe the way I sing the anthem is something like the Bears game is like how you'd expect Marine Corps recruits to sing the Marine Corps hymn. It's not meant to be pretty and delicate. It's meant to be extroverted and head held high, and let's be excited and let's do something here, Yeah. And I got to say, I love being part of those experiences, because it really doesn't matter who it is, right? Like in hockey, if you're down in Dallas, they're going to yell stars, who's broad stripes and bright stars, right? If you're in St. Louis, they're going to yell blues, like in the home of the Blues. These are all very team-specific things. What's happening in Chicago, or happens at that Bears game, is something that anybody can participate in. And I don't mean any American, I mean anybody, because it's bigger than just, yes, it's patriotic, but it's bigger than that. The responses I have gotten from people around the world is just so enlightening and touching.
Give us an idea of how much commentary you get from people, again, around the globe. It has to be enormous.
Yeah. So, most of it is American, and then after that it's Canadian, and then it's just kind of random the different places it'll come from: England, Germany, Italy, France, Bangladesh, Australia. It's going to be from probably somewhere where sports, football or hockey or something really resonates.
Yeah.
Well, so I'll give you an example. On Sunday around noon, I quit answering texts, just people wishing me well. And I got home that night and I had 248 texts.
Wow.
And it's, oh my God. So the next day I started responding to texts, which there were others that came in, but then there's the people who respond because you responded. And I had a couple other things to do that day, but that's all I did with any of my time that day was respond to text messages.
Yeah.
The next day I was able to start digging into X or Twitter. I still call it Twitter, but I was still able to start to dig into that platform. That went on all day. I was on that. I was exhausted. My eyes hurt, and I didn't make it all the way through. That game was unbelievable. The response, unbelievable. So my girlfriend helped me with LinkedIn. She helped me with some with Instagram. She's helped me some with Facebook. We have still not, the two of us kind of tag teaming it, addressed all of it. I did catch up with the stuff on Twitter the next day, but it's just been an unprecedented amount of response. And then Fox News, Sports Center, I went on YouTube and it was like NFL on NBC, NFL on CBS, NFL on ESPN. And it was just, there's been multiple other media interviews. It's just been amazing. Really amazing.
You have endeared yourself to race fans around the globe for your performance, your rendition back home again in Indiana. Before the Indianapolis 500, and certainly IMS is sacred ground here in Indiana. How did that whole thing come about? Certainly, Jim Nabors was an institution at the race for many years and held dearly in the hearts of a lot of race fans. How did it come about once Jim stepped away for you to do that?
Let me say first that growing up with Gomer Pyle, and the first time I heard Jim Nabors sing, I was like, what? How do you put those two characters together? But yeah, I thought the guy was great. I totally understand like the appeal to him singing that, the appeal to his character on and off camera, and how much people just attach to the man. And I knew that would be hard. I knew that would be hard to fill those shoes, or to be, let's say it differently, because you're not going to fill the shoes. You can't be the same, and I'm not a Jim Nabors impersonator or anything like that, right? But to do something that really would connect with the fans that loved him, but still be myself. And that was really what my goal is as I went into that. Now, it came about because for a couple of years after it was clear Jim wouldn't be doing it anymore, people had started sending stuff out on social media that I would see every once in a while. You should get Cornelison to do this. You should get this guy who sings for the Blackhawks. He's great. Okay, wonderful. But I didn't think a whole lot about it except that, wow, that would be really something. I'd love to sing for the 500. I mean, who wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
And then one day I got the call, and at first I wasn't sure, right? I mean, it's like, okay, I'm kind of processing this, and it's like, what is this moment that is happening right now? Do they want me to come sing the anthem? Sure, I'll come sing the anthem. But no, it was about back home again in Indiana, and that was very special, very motivating. Alex Damron was the one who called from the track, who worked with Doug Bowles, and man, I put that phone down and I just started pacing around the room like, oh my God, this is a fantastic opportunity. If I can do this, it would just be something so special in terms of opportunities, but also adding a richness to my life, to be able to sing another song, a different audience, racing versus hockey versus football. It's a different audience, different song, and just an honor to be part of things of that magnitude and to have that place in people's hearts.
Did you feel pressure? It's such a special song at a special point, pre-race festivities. Jim Nabors, legendary guy singing it. Did you feel pressure? Kind of like the guy who succeeds, whatever, Vince Lombardi or Nick Saban or whatever.
Yeah, well, absolutely. You know what? I had those words memorized a month before, for example. There was no way I was going to go out there and forget the words. Everybody's singing along. You can't forget those words. You can't stumble on them. And also, Frank Sinatra would, from what I understand, he would read the words to songs over and over again until he really felt like he had a sense of what those meant. And so I would say the words and think about them. And then I watched a ton of videos of Jim Neighbors. I listened to different renditions. I watched different videos of different people doing it, but I watched a lot of videos of Jim Neighbors specifically because I really believe that if you want to connect with people, meet them where they're at, and then you can go further. And so I saw people crying. I saw people singing along. I saw people arms around each other, kind of swaying back and forth. I saw smiles. I saw just all these things happening with the fans. And that's, I wanted to preserve that, I wanted it to be a happy thing and a good thing and something that was also going to be me. Doug said, you can have the Purdue band or not in the interest of tradition. Well, of course, why would I not want to have the Purdue band? It's nice to sing with a band and a conductor. It's very grounding when you're in a big situation like that you can focus on a band and a conductor. It gives you something, which I did not have at the Bears game, by the way. Right? I don't have that. I said to Doug, well, sure, let's keep that. But I think I'd like to add like a couple more instrumentalists to it and change some of the arrangements so that it has kind of a bigger ending. And so we kind of came up with that more Hollywood type sounding ending, which is very dramatic. And it's what I do,
Yeah, singing, performing in an arena, in a football stadium, those are big venues, but the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is a really big venue.
It is, yeah.
What was that like, that first time, going out there for the first time in front of whatever the number is, 350,000 plus fans?
Yeah, and somebody had told me the most powerful sound system in the world, right? I was very, very happy for the rehearsal the day before, just because you can walk through everything. You don't have the fans there, but you're not doing it for the first time, right? In front of all those people. Really, it's, for me, the biggest challenge is staying within myself, is focusing on me. The sound system will do what it's supposed to do. I've already been hired for the job. Now I've got to do the job. And the hardest part is not forgetting words if you psych yourself out, because sometimes I will have like little panic things, and then I just start repeating words again in my head, because where else am I going to put my head? I'll picture myself going through the motions, kind of visualize, walking up, how I'm going to hold the mic, just each minute, or each second even, and control everything that I can control and keep that bubble, focus on the conductor and the band. When they said my name that first time, there was a nice reaction from the crowd. There were people who knew who I was because of the Blackhawks, and that was really nice. It felt good, It was unexpected, and it took me out of myself for a second, but waving at the crowd.
Yeah.
But then at the end, God, I can't tell you how I was holding that last note, and the audience reacted so strongly. I really just felt it was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. It's like, job well done. This is what I was trying to do. This is wonderful, and it just was an amazing feeling.
Special moment indeed. Much more ahead with Jim Cornelison when we return on the Business and Beyond podcast. Talk a little bit about Jim's path to the Midwest, to Indiana University as well. That's when the Business and Beyond podcast returns. Stay with us.
As a bank, PNC prides itself on being boring. But the truth is they couldn't be more excited to serve the dynamic Indianapolis community. For nearly 160 years, they've quietly toiled away to deliver brilliant results for their equally brilliant clients. They have dedicated PNC teams throughout the local area, all ready to do the boring work to help you unlock your own brilliance. PNC Bank, brilliantly boring since 1865. PNC Bank, National Association member FDIC.
And welcome back to the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. My guest this week, the Anthem Singer, Jim Cornelison. Jim is legendary for his rendition of the National Anthem at Chicago Blackhawks games. And of course, back home again in Indiana at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and so many other venues now doing the anthem as well. And Jim, it's interesting, again, when you say you're the anthem singer, you are an opera singer. Talk about how you were introduced to music a long time ago. You grew up in Washington State, I believe, right?
That's right. Yeah, small town too. Small enough that we went on asparagus schedule every spring because there's a bunch of kids out, including me, cutting asparagus in the morning before school. Yeah, both my parents were born in 1922, so they were much older than my classmates' parents, and they were both World War II vets. They're both well educated. And they both, my dad played the piano. Mom would sing all the time. She wasn't trained, but it was just part of like who she was. And so we'd end up singing in the car and stuff like that. Go to church, and that was in a kids' choir. I remember singing a solo in church when I was 8. It was Old Rugged Cross, and I think in the third verse the word "damn" or something is in there. And I was like, I thought that was so cool to be able to sing that in church and say that word. Ooh,
Right.
But I didn't think of myself as a singer at all. I mean, that was really a one-off. And then when I started playing piano in high school, went to college, I wasn't sure. I just went to a junior college down the road from Sunnyside, Washington. 8,000 people, the community college in Yakima. I guess Yakima had, at that time, probably 70,000 people. I'm not sure. It's about 100,000 now. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I did like music. And so I just really started getting involved in it, and I joined the choir. And that's a good thing, because at the end of my freshman year, the conductor of the local symphony and professor there invited me into his office, and he said, "Jim, are you serious about music?" And I said, "Yeah, I think so. I really like it." And he said, "Well, you're not a very good piano player. In fact, you're nowhere where you need to be at this point in your in your life, if that's what you're going to do. But you should think about studying voice." And honestly, I wasn't sure what that meant. I didn't grow up in a family of trained singers. I didn't do choirs and lessons and all that stuff. I just thought either you can sing or you can't,
Right. Yeah.
It's all this God-given talent, which there is such a thing, but refining it and training it and making it something the best it can be, or the best you can make it be, that's something different. And so I did. I started studying voice, and then some things started happening. I went to Seattle Pacific University and got my bachelor's degree in voice performance, and in Indiana, and got the master's in opera performance.
How'd you end up at IU?
My voice teacher at Seattle Pacific University had gone to Indiana University. He'd gotten his master's there. And in fact, at the time, let's see, it was Roger Havranek and I'm blanking the other guy's name. There were a couple guys that were classmates of his. When I went there to audition, I met those guys, and yeah, IU was a great experience for me. I dropped out of school for 1 year, got married when I was there, did 1 year of doctoral work. So I was down in Bloomington for 5 years.
Ah, wow.
Yeah. So then Miami Opera was my first job out, in Santa Fe. Did a couple things, Indianapolis, their apprentice program, Sarasota, and then the Lyric Opera invited me there. And that's when I got to Chicago in 95. And that's one of the biggest apprentice programs in the country. Yeah. So there's the Met, Chicago, San Francisco, and Houston. It was like real honor.
Yeah, and you've performed with some world-class performers. I mean, you've rubbed elbows, if you will, with some big names.
Yeah. Catherine Malfitano. Yes, Ben Heppner. I mean, some of these people have retired now. I'm 61. It's not, at that time I was in my 30s and early 40s. Let's see, Ben, I don't know, June Anderson, Catherine Malfitano, Jane Eaglin. These were like Jane Eaglin was like a premier Wagnerian soprano at the time. Ben Heppner was its premier Wagnerian tenor at the time. Catherine Malfitano was world-class. June Anderson. I mean, they're all around all the time, Is Sam Raimi, one of the great basses of the last century. I don't know. I'd have to stop, and it seems like another life.
Yeah.
It is. It's like another world. It's another life. There's a stop and think.
Yeah. How do you square those things? Singing with in an opera house versus singing in a stadium. Very different environments, obviously.
Yeah. I think part of the appeal of what I do is that I'm still putting a lot of voice and a lot of energy into what I'm singing, into a microphone, which is an incredibly powerful sound system. And people aren't used to hearing that with opera singers so much. And I use a classical technique to sing, but I'm trying not to over affect it either. You think of people singing like, I don't know, oh, ruddier than the cherry, oh, sweeter than the berry. I mean, just like this, like affected opera English or something, man. I just want to sing American English. And I already said how, I'm trying to deliver something really gritty and masculine and powerful to an environment where it's cheering at a hockey game, it's cheering at a football game. People are there to have a good time, and it's an honor to be part of it, I got to tell you. And having the veterans and the active duty military next to me, that has added a whole level of meaning that we have there at a Blackhawk game. It doesn't matter if you're a Detroit Red Wing fan, even come and cheer for the anthem, and it means something beyond just being a Blackhawk fan.
Yeah, the military service, very important to you. I think you're involved in certainly some organizations that support men and women in the service.
Yeah, I've learned that I'm not an administrator, so I've abolished my own 501c3. That wasn't a great idea. But I partner with others if I can. I get out to a lot of events. I've spoken, sung, sold bobbleheads or whatever, and they get the lion's share of the profit, stuff like that. Just and then just, it's amazing how much it can mean to interact with somebody, because there is a dark part of our history where guys are coming home from Vietnam, and whether you agreed with that war or not, Bob Hope did not, but yet you treat people with respect and understand, like, these people sacrificed to go over there for the country. They said, okay, I'm going to put myself in this position where my life is on the line, or my friends, and they've seen real death and real suffering, and they carry that stuff with them. And knowing that matters and that people care about that is really important to helping sustain people through difficulties, pain, suffering, dark memories. And so it's been, both my parents, again, like I said, were vets. It's been a very meaningful, purposeful part that I didn't expect, of going out and doing an Anthem Singer. There's an email I got from a guy. I've gotten a lot of emails along this line, but he just said, "Hey, Jim, thanks so much for what you do. Whenever I go to a Blackhawks game, I feel like 20,000 fans. My son is in the Navy. I feel like 20,000 fans are cheering for him." Well, what does that mean if he dies? What does that mean if he comes home without a leg? What does that mean to the son who lost a leg? And what does that mean to the father? Well, it means that they know that on some level, what they did had meaning. It had purpose. On some level, I don't know if I want to say that it's worth it, but that it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. Jim, what's next for you? You've created, as I look at it, a business. I mean, you're a brand. It's your talent, but I think it's also your demeanor and your outlook, your attitude that makes you a popular guy at a lot of venues, and folks want to have you there. What's next? You've got the Blackhawks, you've got the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you've got all these other events that want to have you there. What do you see your life like in the next 5 or 10 years?
Well, having become a little older, and I'm not hustling to keep from living under a bridge when I retire. Right? Sure. Things are okay. I think I want to do more with symphonies and sing more than just the national anthem. I want to get out and do just some stuff that I really enjoy. And to that end, by the way, I'll be singing with the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra this July 2, 3, and 4 for their 8:30 at night. It's the concert and the fireworks. So I'm really excited about that.
Wow.
And I'm not singing a ton, but I'm singing a few tunes, and it's not just the anthem, that kind of thing, right? And it's with an orchestra, for crying out loud, a really good orchestra.
Yeah.
And so that's exciting. And I did Indianapolis Opera's 50th Gala back in March, and I was able to do first act duet from Tosca. I mean, this is, for me, this is fun. This is playtime. And so doing more of that. I have a video project I'm working on where I do like a concert version of the anthem, but with like a real like MTV type video that kind of is like part of it. It's I think that's going to be really, really cool. It's 250th birthday of the country. It'll be something that kind of contributes to that. And I have a book that I wrote 95% of it during COVID. And man, since things took off again, I'm finding it's so hard to clear my brain and the time to refocus on it. Just get it over the finish line. Gosh. So these are really important things to me to try to get done. Funny, on social media, just like with the Indy 500, I'm seeing so many people saying stuff about, you got to get this guy for the Super Bowl, stuff like that. So if that keeps happening on social media over the next couple of years, I won't be surprised if I got a call for that. And that blows me away that I'm saying that's coming out of my mouth. That blows me away. And the other thing that's blown me away is people are like, oh, greatest anthem ever, or even better than Whitney, or number 2 up to Whitney. And it's like, you're putting me and Whitney Houston in the same sentence. First off, our anthems are completely different.
Yeah.
They're completely different. And secondly, that's just such an honor because I think hers is the best. It's just, there's so much grace and beauty and discipline and just really wonderfully sung. So that's a great honor. I don't know, I guess what I'm saying is that Bears-Rams game, it just blew things up to a level that things were not before. And I mean, I've done a lot of big events, as you know, the Indy 500. What's bigger in terms of live audience? What's bigger? By the way, funny thing, I thought about this when you were talking about the Indy 500 versus the Bears. Both events require staying in your bubble and doing your job. What was so hard about the Bears game, because it was harder than the 500, and I've sung well over 3,000 anthems versus I'm going to do my 10th Indy 500.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
But going out there, first off, the cold, the amount of input that added to all that energy, and then how loud the fans were when I was actually singing. That's just not something as an opera singer you have to deal with. The audience is quiet. That amount of energy while you're actually singing it's a lot, plus the feedback. Being so far in such a big stadium, plus being all the way in the end zone, so the wall it's bouncing off is all the way on the other end of the stadium. It's a huge delay. That's just a lot to block out at one time.
Yeah.
And at the 500, again, band, conductor, the crowd might be singing along a little. I mean, it's huge, absolutely huge. And I got to stay in my head, but it's calmer.
Yeah. Well, we are looking forward to having you back for number 10 and hopefully many more at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and other venues around the country. Jim Cornelison, it's been a real treat to talk to you, get to know you a little bit, really enjoy your work, and you're a good guy too. So really appreciate it. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. Look forward to meeting you.
All right. And thank you for joining us on this episode of the Business and Beyond podcast presented by PNC. We are a weekly conversation with achievers in business, sports, entertainment, and beyond. And you can download all of our episodes and get Indiana business news 24/7. All you have to do is go to InsideIndianaBusiness.com. I'm Gerry Dick. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.